You took my hand, led me along to your totally nude island. You took my hand, led me astray. That day I'm totally nude island.
Once you hear the mesmerizing calls of the rarest of exotic birds, you become totally consumed by passion. Totally consumed by passion. Put on a strategically placed shell, raise a little hell. Frolic in the surf, sand and turf, on totally nude island.
Darling, show me love, tell me lies. You do something to me, make it all through the night. Touch me once, kiss me twice. You do something to me on the isle of the sun.
Kissed by eternal sun, kissed by eternal sun. A few miles north of the Tropic of Desire. Totally nude island. Totally nude island. Totally nude island. Totally nude island.
Let me along to your totally nude island. Let me astray to your totally nude island. Let me along to your totally nude island.
All right, we are live. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Tokyo Crypto Show here on Shokunin September. We've got the final stretch heading towards our big launch on Friday, which is Body Language Mastery. It is opening September 27th, September 28th, September 29th, September 30th, and October 1st. Let's take a quick look at what is going to be happening then.
The Body Language Mastery course from Modern Life Dating is coming out September 27th this month.
All right, we're live.
This course is going to show you how to understand a female's body language on a date and give you the confidence to know what she's thinking and feeling just by observing her body. The course includes 40 gestures total, both positive and negative. This course will increase your closing rate by at least 10%. In addition to that, after you've signed up for the course, there will be 3 weeks of daily webinars for you to attend with all your questions about the course, absolutely free, and that is $1,000 value. And last, you will be added to a private men's-only group that will be supporting you as you educate yourself on this journey. There is limited enrollment. That's right, enrollment will only be 1 time per business quarter, so you do not want to miss out. Body Language Mastery by Modern Life Dating is being released on September 27th. To learn more, go to modernlifedating.com/body language and sign up for the waiting list, and you'll automatically receive updates about the course and your chance to enroll.
Well, that's going to happen with us this Friday, gentlemen. You're not going to want to miss it. Think about it. You get 24/7 access to me, Charlie, and the whole mod squad. Charlie, welcome to Tokyo Crypto Show. How you doing today?
Doing good.
How's your heart? How's cholesterol? You all good?
Yeah, things are great. Woke up.
Blood pressure?
Oh, no, it's all good. I mean, you got to get used to this stuff happening with Bitcoin. I mean, it happens both to the upside and the downside quite a lot. So, after a while, you just kind of like, it's the way it goes. So, got to roll with it.
Yeah, definitely. So that's what we got. Obviously, what were you doing? Did you just wake up last night? What happened?
I was literally like having a dream, and then I just woke up and I was like, I should probably check the price. And I looked and I was like, here we go.
Because I'm in the Telegram group. Charlie's in the Telegram group. Like all of us are in the Telegram group, and I ran my show late last night. I went out, had a couple of drinks with some gentlemen who came here from the United States to hang out with me from Body Language Mastery. So the show got done at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I had checked the Bitcoin price, and I was like, holy fucking shit. So I immediately jumped in your Telegram group.
Oh, yeah.
And it reminded me of like Star Wars. Like you felt like a great disturbance in the Force, and you woke up. You're like, oh my fucking god.
I sense it.
So you want to give the folks a rundown of what's going on, or what do you think happened so far? I mean,
it's just a price dip. So last week, right?
A price dip. That's a nice way to put it.
Well, it's the same thing as what happened in April, right? It was just a price pump, right? So it's one of those things where, like I said, you just kind of have to roll with it when it comes to Bitcoin. These things happen, and whether you're 100% prepared for it or not, you want to take advantage of it one way or another. So that's all you got to do. I mean, we've been in this thing since, 3, 4, 5K. So it's like, okay, no problem.
I got in at $800.
Oh yeah. Well, originally, right?
Yeah,
exactly. And so, it's just one of those things where you're like, this is part of the ride. Yeah. It's like a roller coaster. You're not going to, just expect it to go up the whole time. It's going to go down at some point. Whatever goes up must come down.
Yes.
And what was it? Last week, we were like, a massive move is coming. And when we talked about the massive move, we mentioned we are in a bull market. So a massive move up, tends to be the hand that Bitcoin plays.
Right.
But also Bitcoin does Bitcoin things, meaning it surprises you, does basically the opposite of what most of the market expects. And then, does something like this. So you got to be aware that both sides are possible, especially when you're like, okay, something massive is going to happen.
Yeah.
Then it's just a matter of finding out, okay, which side does it go to? Once it starts going towards that side, then you make your strategy based on your own personal situation. I think everybody thinks everybody should have the same strategy. Everybody should be doing the same thing when it comes to crypto, which just doesn't make any sense. For example, you have different currencies in different countries, have different values compared to Bitcoin. Different exchanges have different prices at different times for Bitcoin. So especially when a move like this happens, you get more differences over exchanges. So what may be a good price for somebody in the UK versus America versus Japan versus Australia, Singapore might be, slightly different during that particular time. So you just got to be prepared and then ready to play the hand that you're dealt.
Yeah, BTC dropping to 8K as I set up the Instagram stream right now. I just okay. This is not organic.
Yeah, I mean,
there's some fuckery going on, right?
I mean,
let's just be honest. And Chess Rockwell in the chat says, "Is this a backed issue or a coincidence?" I mean, I think you already know the answers right there when we're talking about what's going on here.
To me, it's part of common sense with the speed that it went down.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, imagine you're making a fire.
Right.
Right? You have the kindling down at the bottom. You have all the bits and pieces.
Right.
You have everything set up. You put down, some gas on it or whatever you're going to use to light it up. You put stuff on top of it. You're like, okay, this sucker's ready to go. Just you need something to slightly tip the scale, right? The word manipulation triggers some people, as we see with Jimmy Bob Jim Sauce in the chat, making a nice old name just for us. But to be honest, manipulation just pushes in one direction, and then the market follows with its own natural reaction. So I mean, you can describe it however you want, and it's the same with gold and other precious metals. People have been arguing and crying manipulation in that market. Some people say it's never happened before. There's actually been some cases where companies like J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs have basically been proven that they've done manipulation in the market. And of course, the way that they would do it in the crypto market versus versus the regular market would be slightly different. But think about this, right? 24 to 48 hours after BACT comes out.
Yeah.
It happens. I mean, we talked about this like a month and a half ago. They're not timing this, just because of coincidence. They know that this timing months in advance has a significant impact on the future price by viewing what the charts are doing.
And we got Spencer in the chat. Spencer, I want to slap you. Okay, Spencer's saying back volume as way too low to be the cause. We fell out of a 3-month pennant. That's why we dropped. Listen. Oh, wait. Hold on. Okay, I'm just going to be the common sense guy here for a second. Mate, you're telling me that $1.2 billion was liquidated in 30 minutes, and that is not the coincidence. You think that is 100% coincidence? Because clearly you haven't looked at the charts, Spencer, and if you have looked at the charts, you're a fucking idiot.
Well, here's the thing. So I mean, don't go too far on it. Don't go too hard on him right away, because what he's talking about is on the actual exchange that BACT has. The actual futures contracts that they're selling, of course, is definitely not enough to actually push the scales.
Right. But she's dating a husband who's can.
The difference is what they do behind the scenes, whether it's directly or indirectly affecting the market. One thing we've talked about on this show previously when we were talking about BACT was since about 13 months ago, they have been accumulating, tons of Bitcoin from when the price was 6,000 down to 3,100 up to 14,000. They definitely have enough on the back end to go on to some crypto exchanges, with personal non-KYC compliant accounts, or maybe KYC compliant accounts for individual purposes.
Yeah.
Maybe have, somebody on there. It can't be proven that it is them. The only thing that we know is that 24 to 48 hours before this happened, they had pre-planned this launch. So you can just kind of put 2 and 2 together with common sense, but how they did it exactly and what schemes they used on a site like BitMEX or even Binance or whatever exchange, Coinbase, whatever exchange they used across the board, can't be proven. Right. It's the same thing that happened in April, actually, just in the opposite direction. So when the Bitcoin price went up 1,000 some bucks on April 2nd, it also went up within the span of 30 minutes to an hour. And everybody, here's the difference, is in the media, everybody was looking for a cause, and everybody, or the news people at that time, mainstream media was saying, oh, this is a coordinated buy order from, a group of people buying $100 million worth of Bitcoin. Well, the volume was low enough also during this time that it doesn't take that much money to just push the market in one direction and then kind of have a domino effect. Right. With all the orders which are already on the exchange. So for example, let's say somebody had an order at 9,200 to short Bitcoin. Once that level gets hit, then that order gets hit, the next order. It's just pushing in the direction. It's not saying there's going to be burning a ton of money selling Bitcoin, but also a lot of these shorts are highly leveraged,
right?
Which means they're credited and not always backed with actual Bitcoin, and that's kind of the catch. And we'll look at it a little bit later in more detail because that's also what happens in the gold market and the bullion market and precious metals and that sort of thing. So it's not something that we can say, hey, here's the guy, the patsy, here's the guy that made this whole thing happen. But what we can say is, hey, we got ingredients A, B, C, D, E, and F. What's most likely for something that fast? Because Bitcoin has only had moves that strong, that sustained for 30 minutes to an hour, only a few times. It's very, very unusual. And a lot of people in the charts out there say this is one of those things where it's like, the speed with which it happened was very unusual. The actual price that it got to was not so unusual.
Some people are so fucking smart, they're stupid. And that they can rationalize. Before we jump into it, real quick, guys, be sure to follow me on Twitter at Modern Life John right here, MODERNLIFEJON, and then also please do be sure to follow Charlie on at Cultivate Crypto. He's got 198 followers. We need 2 more to get him to 200. So go to Cultivate Crypto on Twitter and click that follow button. Help him get to 200. Also, then you want to go ahead and take a look at what we're about to show you here on the charts, because what's happening is, in my opinion, I mean, for me, it's clear as day as a veteran in this sphere that honestly, I don't understand why guys like Spencer are trying to rationalize and saying, oh, this is because a pennant to fall off and blah, blah, blah.
That's a part of it, but it's not the whole thing, right?
It didn't.
So,
I mean, this did not, because of his prediction, it didn't happen in just 30 minutes.
Oh, exactly. The speed with which it happened was because somebody pushed it over that edge.
Yes.
So with the pennant or the symmetrical triangle, whichever way you want to look at it, the price had just as much likelihood to go up as it did to go down at that point. It's just a matter of momentum.
Right.
If you get somebody pushing in the right direction, that, either way it could go. Could have gone up $1,000 as easily as it could have gone down $1,000, in my opinion.
Right.
There will be people who, of course, will be in one camp or the other. You're not going to divide them because emotionally people are involved with that. But if you just step back and you're like, okay, when was the last time that Bitcoin moved this fast, right? So it's like, of course, there was a lot of orders for selling potentially already on the books, and you can see those on the exchange. So anybody who's pushing in that direction will know, okay, there'll be enough momentum that it will continue. So it is what it is, but you can't convince everybody, so there's no need to. But the main thing is once any sort of influence. So if you want to use the word influence instead of manipulation, right? Because you can say, okay, it's not manipulation, it's a whale. Somebody putting a lot of money in the taking a lot of money out of the market, or moving a lot of money in the market to make the price do something, right? Mm-hmm. What's the difference between that and manipulation? It's just a matter of semantics.
Right. So this is 100% market manipulation. Let's call a spade here.
Yeah.
And again, if you're, like I said, we talked about the company backed, led by the fucking WNBA lady, okay, who's basically, let's just be honest, she's just the face of the company. She's not the brains. No. And this company backed launches on Monday, Wednesday afternoon, 2:30 p.m. We have the largest flash crash of 2019. I'm not trying to go full Alex Jones here, but I mean, you'd be a fool to think that this was organic.
Well, and the other funny thing, right, was when the CME came out.
Right. Tell them what the CME is.
Yeah, so CME is a Chicago Mercantile Exchange. It does futures contracts as well for Bitcoin, but the difference between that and backed is that the futures contracts for the CME are cash settled, meaning they just trade paper for paper. They don't actually hold any real Bitcoin. Right. So their effect on the market is a little bit different, more psychological. Right. Which we'll show this in the chart in a little bit here, but
and for you guys, real quick, sorry, don't mean to cut you off, Charlie. Especially you, Spencer. Guys, the phone lines are open. 657-383-1318. Call in and let's hear what you got to say as well, because I think that it is important to listen to members of the audience, because, what you guys have to say could be valid. We got to hear what you have to say first before we determine if it's valid or not.
But if it's tone vase, it might be invalid, but
But yeah, call in. Phone lines are open. 657-383-1318. We're going to be taking calls the host show. Sorry, Charlie. Go ahead and continue. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, it's all good. And so the difference with backed is that they are Bitcoin settled, meaning when the contract finishes, they have to pay you out in Bitcoin. Right. So, they have to hold a lot more physical. They actually have to hold a lot more Bitcoin in an insurance fund. And think about this. Wall Street has an MO, right? They have a normal way of operating, which is not through the straight and narrow. When they, humans, part of human nature is they want to control stuff, right? They do want to have an effect. So whether you call that manipulation or influence could be multiple things, right? So that part is just semantics, but basically Wall Street plays these games with all sorts of markets, especially with the gold and silver markets. Some people, go tit for tat for that as well. Is that really happening? Is it not happening? But there's more evidence to Wall Street not being trusted. And if you ask anybody in the crypto community, why do we have Bitcoin? Why does this thing even fucking exist?
Right, exactly.
It's to try to democratize finance,
Right.
which goes against everything Wall Street stands for. So, of course, they want to get in the game, but they do want to try to control the game as well. That's just what they're used to doing. They're not going to sit back and let Bitcoin just go free in a free market. They're going to want a piece of the pie too. And part of that might be, okay, let's bring it down. We'll accumulate more, and then maybe we'll pump it up a little bit at some point, or maybe they'll just won't touch it and let the market decide for itself and have that natural growth as well to make it not look as obvious. So, it's just what it is. That's what they do. That's what they do best. So everybody knew with the CME that was the first try, and most people were at a somewhat of a consensus that actually did have a pump and dump effect. Whereas here, it's just a different format.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's definitely, in my opinion, what I think is they there's just a lot of factors to be calculated in here. I mean, the market cap dropped $25 billion
over the course of a day.
And how much of that occurred in 1 hour?
Maybe a little bit over $1 billion or more, like 1.5, I believe.
Right. So,
I mean, that's a fuck ton of money for Bitcoin.
That is a fuck ton of money for Bitcoin, indeed. And $25 billion for Wall Street is not that much money, let's be honest.
Well, and think about it this way, right? With the $100 million pump in April, it didn't take that much to kind of set it off in the right direction. So it also doesn't take that much to set it off in the opposite direction too, because there was very, very low volume, meaning everybody in the market was just sitting there waiting to see what happens. So all it takes is just the flick of a couple of buttons in the right direction, and there it goes. So, if they chose, hey, let's pump this thing up, however many people, you can call them whales, you can call them manipulators, you can call them influencers, whoever these people are that decided to, do this. If they decide to go the opposite direction, we would be having the opposite conversation. But people, they just get triggered a little bit by the word manipulation because of the negative connotation.
Right.
Whereas, if you use influencer, it sounds a little bit more natural, but all of the ingredients were there for either way. So,
yeah, and
it's just buy more.
I mean, that's what I think is personally that I think they did this to drive the price down in order to shake the ecosphere and kind of get the weak hands let go of their Bitcoin and the auto sells. And and then they're scooping up all the Bitcoin because listen, man, everybody wants some Bitcoin. Everybody wants a Bitcoin. I read that Arthur liquidated 600 million in longs. Who's Arthur?
Oh, Arthur Hayes from BitMEX. He's the guy who runs BitMEX.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, he's kind of a sketch guy, but
the Muga James show says I'm not gonna sit around and haggle over a couple of grand. While we're in an accumulation period with an upcoming bull market, it could pop to 15K in a couple of days. That's optimistic.
Well,
and then what do you do? FOMO in? Yes.
Well, jump in now. But I love that comment because
it's true.
That's what I've been saying over my own show.
This guy's very educated. I didn't know he knew about.
He's right on.
Does he watch your show?
I think I've seen him jump in. Not really sure.
He watches my show often, but I had no idea he was that educated on cryptocurrency. Yeah. Awesome stuff there, James.
Well, think about it this way, right? If we're going to 50K, I've said this in my show probably at least 5 times over the last week. If we're going to 50K, what's the difference between buying in at 7K, 8K, 9K, 10K, 11K? Just maybe $1,000 to $4,000. Once we get to 50 grand in terms of profit, right? It's nothing. So the bull market, is coming. It's just we basically have a second accumulation phase, right? We had the first accumulation phase at the beginning of the year. This is our second accumulation phase.
M. Garcia says, my friend who says he'll get in at low 9K still hasn't acted. Will never act. I know now that he's a normie.
It takes some balls to buy Bitcoin when it jumps that fast, So
Yep.
people who've been buying within the last, 12 hours or so, I respect it. And so
Yeah.
I went in a little bit extra at 8.2K, and you're just like, once you've been in the game a while, you're just like, okay, I know as long as I don't sell out, I'll be good, because we're going to show this meme a little bit later, but
I think we should do it right now because
Yeah.
Adam Simmons says, let's face it, this is just a risky side hustle, nothing more. I've actually lost more than I've made so far. Hope it shoots back up soon. Sorry, Adam, listen. I'm going to put a link in the chat for you, pal. You need to join Charlie's Telegram group because honestly, with that kind of mindset, you truly don't understand the fundamentals of Bitcoin. You don't understand the potential of Bitcoin. And more importantly, you are definitely trading incorrectly. You have to realize that you cannot be trading daily because you're going to lose money. At best, you need to be swing trading.
yeah. And the first trades that you make with Bitcoin are basically just the buy and hold. And then you pay attention to the market, you learn what's going on. And then once you're in profit, then you have room for error, money to play with, right? But before you're in profit, right? If you buy at a high point and it goes down, the thing is you wait. You're not actually out money until you sell out. And let's show this meme right here because this is exactly what it is.
Adam Simmons, buddy, we love you, but this one here is for you. This is Adam right now, okay?
Don't be too hard on him. He's a good guy, He's been paying attention.
Take a look here.
This one time, Bitcoin went from 6 cents all the way to 36 cents, and then it crashed down to 21 cents. And then another time, Bitcoin went from 85 cents all the way to $29, and then it crashed to $3. And then another time, Bitcoin went all the way to $213, and then it crashed all the way to $70. And then another time, Bitcoin went all the way to $1,100, and then it crashed all the way to $239. So the moral of the story is don't buy Bitcoin because you know it's going to crash again.
Oh my God. You gotta help us out, Adam. You gotta listen, dude. We've been talking about this for the longest.
And it's a matter of perspective, right?
Right.
So when you look at the chart, I mean, he's been paying attention. So it's one of those things where it's a natural reaction,
Yeah.
right? People naturally have a short window in terms of their attention span when they first get into Bitcoin. Because, for example, people want that quick money, right? So
Yeah.
people are thinking, okay.
And it's not a quick money game, guys. If
Yeah.
you want quick money, sell cocaine. Like,
or go
don't
to
sell
gambling or
cocaine, but
whatever.
you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
it's not quick money. You have to play the long game. In life, you need to play the fucking long game.
Yep.
And guys, speaking of the long game, go ahead and click that like button. We got 18 likes, but we got over 45 people watching live right now. Please smash that like button. Thank you so much. But I mean, okay. Let's just get into the meat and potatoes of it.
Sure.
Okay, Charlie, take the command here. Operate the charts and just tell me when you need to make the switch here.
All right, you can switch it. Okay. So the first thing we're just going to look at, and we're just going to dissect it as what the data shows us. You can use whatever words you want to describe it. Whatever makes you feel better is fine. But the way you have to look at it is also long term. So anyways, where are we at right now? Let's refresh this. Okay, so 8,442 roughly is Bitcoin. 24-hour volume is $30 billion. The total market cap for Bitcoin right now is $220 billion. And it's traded over 20,000, almost 21,000 different markets. Okay.
BTC dominance is very high too.
Yeah, it's 70% of the market right now. It's the highest it's been since 2016.
Yep.
And so this is all pretty healthy right now. I mean, if you were us back in February,
Yeah.
and you were to say, hey, we're going to be at 9,000 or 8,000 or 10,000 by, around the end of this year. How would you feel about that?
I told you so.
Yeah, well, and you'd just be like, great.
That sounds like a solid investment.
Well, it sounds good, right? And so that's just a matter of perspective of timing.
Right.
And so if you got in at that time, great. Of course, if you bought at 14,000 or 13,900 at the top, you're going to have to wait longer. So your entry point, part of trading, there's 3 parts of trading which are extremely important for when you're getting into a new asset, which is 1, the entry point. 2, how much are you risking? Is it more than you're willing to lose? That should not be the case. It should only be what you're willing to lose. And then 3, what's the pattern showing you? And so, Spence is right. There was that potential for it to go down if it's viewed as a pennant. If it's viewed as an asymmetrical triangle, you can say that it will go up. But drawing lines on a computer is not going to make the price go up or down. We can only guess for probability. And so we use this data as best we can. But to be honest, trading is a game that you're not going to win in the terms of 1 to 3 months. You're going to win in the terms of 1 to 3 years.
Right.
So that's just what it is. But all this data right here at least shows us that Bitcoin in itself is healthy. The altcoins, of course, are not doing quite as well. But here we can see, Bitcoin's market cap. And this, to me, is pretty crazy. So if we look at, year to date, and we look at some of these drop-offs in terms of the blue line here is market cap. The green line on the top is price. Obviously, they're following each other. We have had, previous drops, but, and like here, you can see it, a little bit more bouncy. And we may get a good bounce here, but going from, in terms of market cap, $180 million down to 152, $30 million in the span of, in this case, about 24 hours. That's pretty significant. Right here, we can see the top market cap being about $238 billion. And then the first drop, of course, was quick and significant because we were at a pretty high point, but then it did bounce and then it came down more. So if we see a bit more of a bounce here today, which, over the next couple of days, which could very well happen, it might start to look a little bit more natural at that point. But for now, that is just a significant drop. And also, it's the matter of time. So when we view it from the long-term chart here, and this we'll get into in terms of where is it going in the short term. But for example, here, if you look at the candle, it looks like this one happened over the course of 3 days, right? Because we had the end of a 3-day candle here this morning. But this drop actually was mainly done within 1 hour.
Right.
So if we were to zoom in, here's on the daily chart, it looks like it's about 1 day from 9,750 down to that 8,000 area. But then if we zoom in a little bit closer, you can see actually most of it was in a 30-minute period.
A 30-minute window, this thing crashed.
Yeah, and then take a look at this as well.
And where did the price go in 30 minutes from 94 to what?
9,400 down to 8,600, so $800. The thing also here is I have layered Bollinger Bands, and just watching the price come down here, just how significantly it was consistently pushing over the course of that half hour against this green point is a very rare scenario. We can look back at other points, especially to the upside when it does touch the green, but it usually doesn't continually hold that area for a significant period of time. So it's just one of those things, you kind of feel it out. Okay, is this something that usually happens with Bitcoin? Yes or no? And it's one of those things where there's only really been 3 times this year you could say it went up or down way too fast. And during those times, people usually say it's, somebody, maybe a whale, and whether we want to call that person a manipulator or not is how you define those terms, whatever makes you feel comfortable. But it's one of those things where obviously smart money, the people who have a lot of money, they want to have an influence on the market. And so they did. And we don't really care, right? It's like, okay, it happened. Great. Now what do we do from here? You get a little bit of a wrench in your plan, or maybe it goes exactly as you'd hoped because you had buy orders really, really low. Whatever. Now you look at what's happening from here. and you keep going. So, like you said, buy the dip. This is a great buying opportunity. So, but I think, I forgot who mentioned it. Their friend had said they're going to buy at 9K and didn't. For those people out there who are just not willing to buy at any of these prices, well, nothing can really be helped there because they're never going to get in.
Yeah, and I mean, why don't you show them a little bit earlier what we talked about with the Elliott waves on the kind of year?
You mean like on the zoomed out basis?
Mm-hmm.
Which part?
When you dragged the and you highlighted and it came out.
Oh, right. The Fibonacci sequence.
Yes.
So actually, we could still have a ways down to go if we're going to hit some Fibonacci levels. So here, from the top of 2017 was about $19,500 per Bitcoin. You drag this down to the bottom of 3,100 in 2018, the end of 2018, about a year later. And you slide this over, and the Fibonacci golden ratio of 0.618 was exactly what that bounce did. It went up to that Fibonacci level of 0.618, a little bit higher, but basically at the golden ratio. So, at the beginning of this year, if you had just taken this fib level, bring this across, if you were to say at the beginning of 2017 or 2019, 2018, that we're going to go to that fib level, people would have thought you were nuts. But clearly, that's a tool that does have some validity. And if we do that now, go from the bottom of 3,100 up to that top of about 14,000, and we drag this across. I've been saying this, for months, right? I told you, I thought in August we'd have the most likelihood of breaking down.
Mm-hmm.
But we showed some strength in the 9K area. It just took a little bit longer to break down. And we first broke down just a hair shy, and you can't really see it here. I guess I got to zoom in a little bit more. But that wick is just a hair shy of the 0.55 Fibonacci level, which is a Fibonacci number. And so what's that saying? Well, basically, we had up here the 0.382, which is also a Fibonacci sequence number, and this area was holding, right? Once it broke, we go to the next one. If the next one breaks, basically, if we go below 7.9K, the next one we got is the golden ratio number, which is about 7,100, 200. So we have the ability to bounce from here, go back up. We have the ability to break down and go down to 7,200. I don't really see us going back down to this 5,000 level, which people like Tone Vays are talking about. But, you just play this out as it goes. You watch for what's possible, what's probable, and then you protect yourself with stop losses along the way, or buy limit orders as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
It's almost creepy how, Tony says in the chat right now, it still freaks me out how nicely Fibonacci fits.
Yeah. And so you use that to kind of get a guesstimate of, okay, what are the main levels of where this price could go? And so we know that now. And then also we take a look at, okay, Elliott wave fits this, but Elliott wave just tells us where is the trend going. It doesn't tell us when the trend is going, which is kind of the sticking point with Elliott wave. And so with Elliott wave, we know that if we zoom out, like really far out, and we look at what's the main pattern with Bitcoin, we currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're currently in the first part. And this looks a lot messy because we can't, when we zoom in, we have a lot of stuff in here, but basically we have the first of 5 waves up. And whether we go all the way up to 100,000 or 200,000 or whatever, we're not going to be able to say exactly where it's going to go. We're just going to say, okay, with Fibonacci sequences, also with Elliott wave trend, we know the trend is up. So with that knowledge, that gives us confidence to go down here. And when we're looking in on a daily basis, not paying attention to the multi-year basis, we know, okay, price, we could zoom in and say, hey, price could be here. Price could come down here in the middle of October, early November. The timing is not what this is telling you. And also the Fibonacci ratio number can tell us we could go down to 7,200, or we could bounce up from here. It just tells us what's possible. It doesn't tell us exactly what's going to happen. And so, like a weatherman, we can then guess, okay, what's the probability that it bounces up from here? The only way to know that is by watching it on a daily basis, confirming or not confirming what's happening, and then keep going from there. We do have the Bitcoin 60-day Lucas cycles, which also do help us a little bit on timing, but those are more reactive than predicting tools. So we use all this stuff together, and this is just my particular style that's worked for me very well.
Right.
But you use these things, all the data that you can to look where the trend's going, and knowing that the trend's going up, that in and of itself, just means, okay, how long are you willing to wait? Are you willing to wait 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months before this price recovers? If you're going to get in and you expect it to go up immediately within 1 to 3 months, then you're not in the right game. Also, the last thing I'll mention on this chart, looking at the 3 halving events. Mm-hmm. So here in November 28th, 2012, we had the first halving in the early part of this bull cycle. And Bitcoin had a high below that, broke down. Once we got to the halving, price went up. Same thing here. We had the first part of the bull market, had a halving on July 9th, 2016. Price suffered actually a little bit after that. So people, probably for that July to August period, people are like, what the hell? The price is supposed to go up. Price goes sideways, then we go crazy, right? So if you're selling in that,
and that's
those
only like
areas,
a year and a half later. Not even a year and a half, less than a year and a half.
Yeah, 3 to 6 months later. And so if you're the one selling, prior or to right after these halvings, then that's basically, the weak hands, right? And so the next halving event is coming around May 15th.
May, right? Yeah.
May 15th, 18th, roughly in 2020.
Right.
And so, we might not have until May of 2020, we may have some, elongated accumulation area here. We're not necessarily going to start jumping up tomorrow. So you just got to plan accordingly and have that kind of patience to buy in. Know that we're not going to drop back down below 3,100. We're probably not going to get down to 5,000 again.
You don't think so?
No.
Are you sure?
I mean, it's probability, so anything can happen.
You want to bet 1 Bitcoin?
I don't bet Bitcoin, maybe. I only bet with the market.
I'll bet you Bitcoin Cash.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you did that one before and it worked out.
Yeah.
So these are just these things, when price goes crazy, people get psychologically straight into fear.
Yeah.
Which it's like, okay, how do I step back and be as logical as possible to basically calm yourself down? That's the first thing, so...
And Cameron has a question. He says, does Elliott Wave apply in all types of markets or only in certain ones?
So it should apply to most markets. It'll probably work better in some markets over others. Mm-hmm. With Bitcoin, it works just fine. With gold, with stock, it works just fine. With, corn commodities, I'm not so sure. I've never looked at that.
Right.
But... for the most part, Elliott Wave, if you're using it correctly, should work for most markets. Now, the longer the market has existed, the more work you have to do with Elliott Wave, because what Elliott Wave says is you have to look at the biggest pattern first, make sure that you got the correct trend, then you go within that trend, you find the trend, micro trend within there, and then you zoom into that trend, you find what's happening in there. You get closer and closer and closer. The thing with Elliott Wave is once you get down to like a 1 hour or 30-minute chart, it doesn't work so well on the small term price action. It mainly works well with where is the general trend going from a macro view, and then going into a midterm view, and then the stuff that's happening on a day-to-day basis. I would say Elliott Wave is probably not good for day trading. There are probably some people who try to use it for day trading, but I would not.
And so, optimistically speaking, we don't even need to be optimistic. If you just look at the chart long term and you have a fraction of a brain, you can understand that things are literally looking up.
Yeah, things are looking just fine. And the other thing here is just simple, this is totally speculation, and that's the point of the market, is when Bitcoin's trying to find its actual price, it is speculation. And so we go here, we see, okay, the first part of this year, Bitcoin rose about 330%. Okay, nice. Usually the next wave after that, the wave 3, is usually equal to wave 1. So let's just say, worst case scenario, Bitcoin goes down to 7,126, just to be exact. And then we go up 330% from there. Right, we got $31,000 Bitcoin. So, if you bought now and then 365 days later, it went to, 4 times? Would you be happy?
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, I mean, with just doing one click, buying it, and then waiting for a year, it's not so bad.
Not bad at all.
It's supposed to be money you're not going to touch anyway. It's not more than you're willing to lose.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying overall. I mean, like, clearly this are you all good with the charts here?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so the point I'm trying to make is that ultimately, with cryptocurrency going the way it is right now, clearly there was some market manipulation going on here. We think it was partially due to backed, but at the same time, I mean, we got a spicy meme for you, and check it out here on the live stream. Here, girl stabs the guy in the heart. He says, "You can't hurt me. I hodl from 2017." Jesus Christ. I mean, even for me, 2018 was a nightmare year because, I quit the corporate job, and then I lost the Airbnb, and to top it all off, Bitcoin went from its all-time highs to, just crashed and crashed and crashed.
And that 84% drop.
Oof, it was brutal. But that's what this is. You're gonna get some of your, what can I say? Your crypto scars, if you will. This will scar your skin properly, and you'll be able to, endure and really understand that it is not a get-rich-quick scheme, and the market is pretty much shaped up like this. This is how the market looks if you're uneducated. So here's you, and here's a market maker, and then here's the exchange. Okay, so you don't want to be any of these guys. When you are, in the market with an educated standpoint, I mean, you're above floating on the water in a luxury yacht. You're good to go. You want to
take one of those underwater jet skis to get up as fast as possible, or you want to know what the sharks' main tactics are, how to stay away from them, what to do if you approach them.
Yep. And let's be honest, sharks prey on the weak. Yep. So, I mean, you don't want...
You got those weak hands and you just give it to them and you say, hey, just take me now. I don't want the pain.
Yep.
That's generally what it is.
You don't want to be caught floundering around thinking, oh, woe is me. So, again, Adam, not to pick on you, but I just quite honestly this is just kind of, in my opinion, an indicator that you don't know the market and cryptocurrency well enough yet. But the one thing I can advise you to do, if you're feeling like you're losing money, just hold on to your Bitcoin. Just don't stop trying to day trade. Stop trying to swing trade, especially without proper without a proper board of advisors. Like I said, and that's what Charlie offers. By if you click the link in the chat, you can get into his Telegram group. Go to cultivatecrypto.com/shop. He offers multiple tiers of support. This is 24/7, 365. It was 4 a.m. yesterday in Tokyo, and me, Charlie, and all the boys were kind of like, what the fuck. But
we were also having a good time too. We were having, talking about, throwing some fun jokes in there. I think Brent always has a good sense of humor.
I love Brent. That guy's fucking hilarious. Spencer's gonna call in. He says he wants to talk.
Sweet.
Also, a lot of people were calm in the Telegram group, and that's the thing. When you have a support group, I mean, it's good to know that you literally have in your pocket, on your smartphone, access to a hive mind of guys that are doing amazing things. I'm not going to say who, but somebody in the group jumped on this opportunity and made 0.4 Bitcoin absolutely for free because he kept a cool mind. He watched what was going on, and he used a technique called arbitrage. This is basically when you see a gap in the price on two different exchanges, and he was selling from one exchange to another, he was basically going from Ripple and selling it into Bitcoin on another exchange, and he was able to come out with 0.4 BTC absolutely for free.
Yeah, it's amazing. And that's part of being prepared, right? Because in his particular exchange, he had that difference, which not everybody has access to. And so it's like, okay, he had the info, he had, the information of how to buy and sell Bitcoin, how to do everything properly. And, he was just ready for it. So if that opportunity presented itself, he was ready to do so. So that's great. And then we've also had other guys today who, thanked me. They said, thank you so much for, keeping a level head and also letting us know, what the probabilities are for the price. Because I don't say the price is definitely going to go here, it's definitely going to go there. I say, these are the possibilities. This is where I feel it's going to go. But, and we've got guys who bought in some great buy prices as well that have already been happy with that too. So
and again, Adam, look, if you've been watching my show, you watch me. I don't pull any punches when it comes to my teaching style. So I'm just giving you the long short of it. I'm giving it to you all at once.
give it straight.
Yeah, I mean, just give it to you super straight. So at the end of the day, if you gotta cry, let it out. And at the end of the day,
but it's also part of the natural progression, right? When somebody's new to the market,
I did it.
Yeah,
I did it.
You did a lot.
I did a fuckload, and I'm good now. Looks like we got Spencer on the line. Let's bring him on. Alrighty. Spencer, can you?
Hello, gentlemen. How you guys doing?
What's going on, buddy?
Nothing much, man. I'm actually having a fantastic day. I figured I'd call in. We could talk a little bit about the dump.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So I'm not saying that this all. Yeah, I'm not saying that this dump didn't happen because of manipulation. It absolutely did. Manipulation will play a part in all the pumps and dumps. What I am saying is there are many coinciding variables that would have led you to think that we were dumping instead of pumping.
Oh yeah.
Descending volume, as we know, descending volume makes it easier for the market makers to push whatever price they want, which makes it easier. They can see our stops. They can see when all of the stop losses will be triggered. But what I will say, one dump that was absolutely manipulated was on September 19th. If you look at the dump, it was about $10,100. We dumped all the way down to $9,600. If you look at the extremely small time frames, like the 3-minute, you can see the majority of the dump happened in a 1 3-minute candle.
All right, hold on. We're gonna pull Spencer. We're gonna pull it up on right now on the screen. Can you tell us one more time? There was a dump on September 19th.
Okay,
you say?
Yeah. September 19th, about 2:30.
September 19th, 2:30, and what time frame are we looking at here?
What time zone?
What time zone are you in?
Go ahead and put it on the 3
What's
minutes.
this one here?
3 minutes?
I'm on the Eastern time zone.
Eastern time zone, 3 minutes.
I'm on the 3-minute time scale.
What time again?
Yeah, so on September 19th, we dumped from about 10,100 to 9,600.
Right here, though.
Yeah, I just gotta keep preparing it down because otherwise it's hard. September 19th. What time again? Here we go. Yeah, move it again. I'll put it in one.
You'll see it. It's a huge jump.
Yeah, we
you
see
can't
it.
miss it.
I just gotta zoom in on it properly because every time you zoom in, it changes.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's the 24th.
Yeah. So if you look on the 3-minute time scale,
Yeah.
you can see the majority of the dump happened in one candle. That's when you know there's manipulation.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely.
We got the same thing on the upside too
Yeah,
on the 19th,
so-
right? Later in the afternoon. It's basically,
Yeah, that was, yeah. It looks like a market overreaction almost.
Yep.
But
Good eye, Spencer.
that is one way you absolutely know. That's when you know there's manipulation, 100%.
What
But
else?
the wedge that we were forming, it was 3 months long, and there's less and less volume each time. And I'm sure Charlie can back me up on this. One of the measured moves to figure out if we're where we're going to pump to or dump to is if you measure the top of the wedge to the bottom of the wedge. And I'm talking about the most recent wedge that we just made, 3 month long one. So if you take from that 13.9 down to the bottom of the wedge, which is like 9,100. It's a 31% move. So basically, if
Oh, Spencer, you got muffled there, buddy.
did I?
Yeah, go ahead.
1 second. Let me pull my chart. Okay, so Charlie, I'm sure, have you looked at any of Bukowski's like textbooks at all?
Yeah, and I've also looked at the wedge that you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about, where when you measure from the top of the wedge to the bottom of the wedge, that basically can sometimes tell you where we're going to pump or dump to.
Yep, and then you bring that potentially down to the bottom of the wedge, and that gives you the estimated guess of how low the dump will go, if it is in fact a wedge, which,
Exactly,
here we go.
yeah, exactly.
And so what price does that bring you to in particular?
That says we're going to go down to, like, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, what price does that give you when you look at it that way?
It gives me a price of, I think it's like 5,500, which is insane. I really don't think we're going to hit those levels.
Yeah, and also with patterns, with patterns like triangles and pennants and those types of things, basically, with those, it doesn't have to hit that exact price. It just tells you this is the target. And targets are not sacred; they don't always get hit. But you're right; it often goes with good speed towards that direction.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm going according to Fibonacci levels, not according to measured moves, because I honestly don't think we're going to go that low. But I am setting my bids from 6.5 to like 7.6.
Oh yeah, it's great to get bids in because you don't need them to get hit, right? Like you're like, okay, if this price gets hit, that's great. And so you allocate whatever. You always want some dry powder, some money on the sideline. That way, if something gets hit, you're right there and ready to do it when that opportunity arises. So I definitely agree with you on that part. And if I'd also just like look at the fib levels again from 3,100 up to 14,000 and down, we do get that mid 5,000 level at about 0.786. So if we did break below the 7,200 on the Fibonacci levels, that area would be the next logical area based on that we would go down to. So I never say anything is impossible, especially with Bitcoin. Bitcoin always surprises us. But yeah, it's good to know, okay, here are the different possibilities, and what you're saying is definitely valid. And then you just prepare a strategy for, okay, if that happens, how can I take advantage of it? If it doesn't happen, how do I make sure that I get enough in that I want?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I just wanted to explain myself. I figured I might be able to add to the conversation. I wasn't trying to antagonize you, John.
I'm easily antagonized, so don't worry.
That's very true.
I'm easily antagonized, so don't worry about that. But no, I'm actually, Spencer. I'm really glad you called in. To honest, let me tell you something. As a YouTuber, I get so many idiots in the comment section that you just happen to be caught in the crossfire. But clearly, you're very educated on this, and I want to say thank you for calling in, because what you have added to this episode is very valuable information. And honestly, did you catch the 19th? Did you catch that?
Oh, I saw it on the chart, but I wasn't thinking, oh, this is necessarily manipulated or not.
Did you see it when it happened back then?
Yeah, of course.
You sure? You're just lying because we're live.
No, I saw the up part as well, because like if you look at it here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you can look at it here on the farther part of the chart too. It's doesn't look quite as extreme on this part,
Yeah.
but this one I actually bought it when it went down to 9,750. I bought that dip, and then you're just kind of waiting to see what happens there. So. But yeah, no, I think, when you look at all of this stuff, you just have to think of what are all the probabilities, and take a wide array of information out there and just kind of digest it for yourself. So, I always appreciate, guys coming in with, different opinions on what they think is going to happen, because that's speculation. That's part of the markets. That's how the price gets discovered. And you just got to be prepared for, what happens, at each step of the way.
Yeah, man. So listen, Spencer, we're going to continue on with the show.
One last thing to add.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Just one last thing to keep an eye out. The weekly RSI. Last bull run, we stayed above 50 the entire time. Right now, we're currently under 50. If we end the week under 50 on the RSI, I think we're in serious jeopardy if we're in a bull market or not.
Yeah, I've been watching the RSI pretty closely, especially when it compares to like the past bull market. And like we're showing it on the screen now. You can see, we're just, where are we at now? We're at 47.73. So we're actually just dipping below it on the weekly. So yeah, it's all about the weekly close on that. And you can see in the past, in 2017, right, it was bouncing up that level. Go ahead.
All right, gentlemen, I'll let you guys carry on. Don't want to take up too much space. But
cool,
great call. I'm glad I called in so we got to discuss this. I feel like a lot of people learn from us right there.
Definitely, Spencer. You're the man, bro. Thanks for calling. Have a good day.
You too, man.
What a cool guy. Okay. I honestly thought he was a buffoon, just puking in the chat.
See, I've talked to him before by email, and also he jumps in my chat quite often. So I was just gonna be like, lay off him a little bit, but I let you do your thing.
Okay.
But no, I've seen his charts before. I know he knows what he's doing as well, and everybody has a different opinion. I mean, come on, I've seen traders that have been trading for 25, 40 years out here. They've never seen anything like Bitcoin in their lives.
Yeah.
So everybody's going to come up with different results. And that's why it's the DYOR, do your own research.
Right.
On my show, Spence jumps in the chat. We always have a good time. We always, share information. Here's, an idea for this. Here's an idea for that. But then at the end of the day, the people who are trading, it's you who presses the button, or it's me who presses the button, or it's somebody else who presses the button.
Right.
And you got to hold yourself accountable for your own trades. So you take the information that you get coming in, it's just extra input. And then you go back and you say, okay, does that make sense compared to the other stuff that I'm seeing out here? Is there something I'm missing? I'm open to listening to a guy like Ton Vase, not because I agree with him most of the time, but because I usually disagree with him.
Right.
And I want people, in my sphere who think slightly different from me, to keep, the blinders from going off. Because if you focus so much on one idea and say, this is 100% going to happen no matter what, you're going to be wrong more than you're going to be right. So having that ability to be humble, but also have confidence in what you're looking at for yourself, and then sussing that out for your own trades is what trading's all about.
Definitely a good call in. I'm really glad that he called in.
Oh yeah.
Let's continue on with what we're going to talk about next here.
So the last thing we're just going to show is, manipulation does happen in other markets, right? Talking about precious metal markets, the only thing I want to show here is just that it exists.
Right.
And you can go to this website, swissgold.ch, and put in what is precious metal price manipulation. You can read the whole article for yourself. But they question it, right? They say, are prices really manipulated? Here are some theories that help us describe, how this could be manipulated. For example, the silver market is smaller than the gold market, so it's easier to manipulate. But we also know that gold can be easily manipulated, so maybe silver is much easier. Also, we know influential banks have already been fined for manipulating the price of silver. That is the canary in the coal mine. People will try. Who would not try? If you had the chance and you had $100 million and you say, hey, if I put $100 million, $200 million, or however much it takes to bring down the price of Bitcoin and buy more cheaper, would you? Of course.
Right.
Some people might not because of some ethics and whatnot, but for the most part, most human beings, when it comes to greed, come on, most people generally would do something like that. So the banks or anybody a whale who has that amount of influence, if it's possible, they're going to try. And then there's other examples of what happened in the past with the price of silver and gold. You can take a look at that here, but this just shows that it does exist. And so it's one thing to pay attention to. Also in this article here, this article is a little bit more strong in terms of saying the manipulation with the gold and silver markets is the greatest trick ever pulled. But they talk about 3 different ways in this article, and this is on bullionstar.com, about how the price is manipulated. Here, they just say gold and silver markets where the price is established by trading in vast quantities of fractionally backed synthetic gold and silver credit. So that credit bit working with not real gold or not real silver is similar to like the CME, the way that they trade contracts for Bitcoin, but it is not Bitcoin, or with BitMEX being over leveraged. Does that exchange actually have enough Bitcoin to back your 100 times trade? Probably not. But they know that you will lose, or 80% of people will lose on a leveraged trade. So they don't need to have all of the Bitcoin that they say they are trading on their exchange. So that credit or that little bit of fake money that's out there in the market that people are trading on does change the volume that we see in terms of the market cap, and gives more room for error and also more room for people to go in with a lot of money and on low volume push the market down. So it's happened in other markets. It's part of human nature. Will people try to do it with Bitcoin? Yes. Will it keep it down forever? No. So then you go and you work off of that information once it's happened. But thinking that manipulation does not exist is, to me,
Naive.
Ignorant, if you want to use a stronger word. But
Now you're being the mean one.
well, I mean, I just say it plainly. But
Yeah.
you go after it a lot harder usually. But it is what it is. So that's part of the game.
Yep.
And so you play the game with that in mind, and that'll help you as well. So like Spence said, he was paying attention to that point. For me, I was thinking, on the 19th, oh, that's a great buy opportunity. Didn't necessarily think about it as manipulation at that time, but he was keenly thinking about manipulation in the back of his mind, which is a smart thing to do. So if you're not thinking about it, continually, you just got to be a little bit more careful. But this definitely happens in all markets. If you want to learn more about it here on this bullionstar.com, gold and silver price manipulation, the greatest trick ever pulled. It's a bit of a opinionated article, and it is something that's argued a lot in the gold and silver area, but they will try it with the Bitcoin on other markets as well.
What a badass name, Ronan Manley.
I'm sure that was his name he was born with, right?
Oh Lord, the photo doesn't add up with the name.
That's Wall Street for you.
But Ronan Manley, what a badass name.
funny
Good
as hell.
stuff, mate. All right, let's go back to so I mean, well, that's really I think that's what it is, man.
Just look at the facts.
Clearly there has been some market manipulation. Do we want to talk about this, or
Well, we can just show it and just be like, we can just show those two. It just adds to extra data.
Well, okay, let me just show you some stuff that, for me, I just find a little fishy. Okay, so first we got first we have the backed, right? Now, again, backed launch on Monday. And then they post this, which just seems, I don't know, this just seems a little fishy, okay? First of all, if you're on Wall Street and you're telling me that you're totally transparent, I already know you're lying. So that's like strike one, okay? That's like dating a chick. She's like, oh, I never lie. I never lie. I'm like, okay. So what you're telling me is you're a fucking liar right now, because everybody lies. But, some replies were hidden by the tweet author. Interesting.
People must be going at him today with a bunch of memes.
Oh, interesting. Red flag. I mean, there you go. There's red flag number one. So
Number two.
for number two, really. So on our second day of operations, totally transparent trading. Okay, like calm down, Mr. fucking White Knight Virtue Signaler. Like, who even tweets like that? And monthly back future contract shows Bitcoin ending the day at 8,566 on 166 lots changing hands. We prepared something special for this day. Join us at Medium. Blah blah blah. Manipulation. When price pumps, it's organic growth. When it dumps, the price. Blah blah blah. Go back to where you came from. Wrecked. Oh God. The back to dump is here. You see, I think we're not the only ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, the crypto world is based on not trusting banks. So
Yeah.
what do we do when they come in? We don't trust them.
BTC really fact a lot of people today. This ain't
I like that one.
That's good. Dip.
Enjoy
Yeah.
the dip.
Now the gap has been filled. Pump it. Yeah, exactly. So, calm down, lads.
volume 165. So volume means only 165 Bitcoin were traded with backed so far. Transparently, which is not a lot of money. That's like
For Wall Street, it's nothing.
that's like you're like working the fry basket at McDonald's in Wall Street.
It's a number, and compared to crypto exchanges, they're probably on the list about number 135 of the largest exchanges for crypto in the world. So they're losing to a lot of people who just made websites.
Oh Lord, I just don't believe what's going on here. So, then we'll talk about this one too. So this is you want to break this down real quick because this is also important, Charlie.
It's simple. It's just transaction volume at a specific time. So at that specific time, there was basically $1.2 billion, transacted in Bitcoin at that time for US dollars, and a little bit after that, price drops. More volume comes in naturally after that time. So, that's just what it is. But then also, if we look at the whale alerts, of course, there's a ton of stuff happening within the market continually, right? People are transferring, $1 million here, $1 million, $5 million there. There's plenty of people with a ton of Bitcoin out there looking to have some sort of influence, protect themselves, get in on different schemes.
I think which one was interesting. We saw a large amount. Yeah, right there, 1,204 Bitcoin transferred from unknown wallet to Binance. So he might be dumping it off. He might be.
Oh yeah, little by little.
Hey, you're spazzing out about what's going on. I mean, you got to remember, dude, there are a lot of like internet nerds out there, guys, that bought Bitcoin, mined it on their PC while they were playing like Counter-Strike, the original. And some of these dudes are sitting with like 5,000 and 10,000 Bitcoin on their computers.
Oh yeah.
These guys are the silent tech millionaires. So there's a lot of money in this market. You guys have to remember, you right now, if you're not in, you got in extremely late. It's still, if you base yourself off of the charts of the entire lifespan of Bitcoin, you could clearly understand that the cryptocurrency market is here to stay, and it has performed well, and I do not think that it's going to stop anytime soon. Listen, guys, the most important thing is this. Wall Street is aggressively moving in on this space. Wall Street does not waste their time, okay? Because Wall Street knows there's money to be made, and there is a lot of money to be made, and that's why they are putting their greedy little hands in here. This is a clear example of market manipulation. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say that until I'm fucking blue in the face. 30 minutes, and you have a huge price drop. $1.2 billion sold in 30 minutes.
Transacted.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then later sold.
So there are a lot of different aspects just to take into account here. Again, I'm not even the expert. Charlie's the expert. I could be considered an expert to many because based on
99.9% of the population doesn't even know how to buy Bitcoin.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, that's the purpose of this show, is for you to transparently see what we have here in the world of cryptocurrency, where it's going, what's going on with it, and, where everything is happening. Real quick, Charlie has a service available for you guys. Charlie, why don't you tell them about what you have here?
Yeah, so if you want to get in on our group, we have a Telegram group which is basically like a WhatsApp where we trade, where we show our charts every day in terms of what we feel is happening in the market, and then we discuss that within the chat. We also give each other bits of information. So this is a way where if you're new to cryptocurrency, or if you've been in it a while, you want to change your strategy, you want to get into a bit of a hive mind, but also pick my brain on different best practices, what you should and shouldn't do, and then form a strategy for yourself. Those are the best ways to have long-term growth with cryptocurrency, and over time you can do that. So you can get a one-on-one lesson, do a one-off, try to get a strategy, go it on your own, or you can do those consultations on a regular basis, also taking a look at that information on a daily basis. You don't have to look at the charts every day, but at least having the information available to you allows you to have something to compare your information to, and then that gives you a bit more of an edge, especially if you haven't traded crypto or if you haven't gone into the market before. Even if you have been in the market, somebody like Spence, for example, it's always good to have a bit of a different take on the market.
Yep.
That way you can see stuff that you might not see otherwise.
And it's for me personally, like last night, 4 o'clock in the morning, somewhat drunk, and I'm just like, looked at Bitcoin. I was like, what the fuck, 8,400? I was like, what the fuck? So I immediately opened the Telegram group. I was like, whoa. I was like, guys, what the fuck is happening? And everybody else in there is like, what the fuck's happening? But at the same time, you know that the people in the group are all educated to a certain extent. There's not just random Twitter people. Like, we had some dork on Twitter fighting with us saying that this is 100% not market manipulation. And like, you got random comments on Reddit, and then you got to filter through people just shit posting and stuff. Like, it's just nice to know in your pocket you immediately have access to answers, so you can enact on it. And one of the guys in the chat, know who we're talking about because he was transparent. We're not going to put his private information out there because Telegram is also an encrypted service, so it's 100% safe. He was able to make 0.4 Bitcoin amongst all this chaos. While the rest of us were freaking out, he saw the opportunity.
Well, he was the only one who had access to it because it was an Australian exchange. But yeah, I mean, you got to be, once you're ready for it and you have that in front of you on your market, got to execute. I mean,
yep,
it's great.
And he pulled the trigger. He did a great job, and he got some free Bitcoin. So, I mean, in the midst, while everybody's losing money, he turned the tables on the situation and made money. So if you want to get in there, go to cultivatecrypto.com/shop. And one more time, don't forget that this Friday, Body Language Mastery is launching for me. And the waiting list has now almost eclipsed 300. We're a few shy of 300. And I believe that, by tomorrow, because the list is growing every single day, by tomorrow's end of tomorrow's show, we'll have 300 people on the list. I'm thinking I'm going to cut enrollment at 200 because I'm going to be doing promotions with, I'm actually in the contact right now with David X. For you guys that know who David X is, David X is an old school guy, but he is a top tier man who really understands female nature and dating and stuff. He's going to be in there. He was calling me at the beginning of this show to have a conversation. He didn't know I was live, but I'm going to have a conversation with him. I'm trying to get Alan Roger Curry in there. I'm trying to, I will be having the originals, the Rich Cooper, Roll Tomasi, whole 9 yards, 3 weeks of webinars. Charlie will be joining us as well because sometimes these webinars, they talk about everything, man. Money, fitness, finance, family, health, relationship, parties, Chad House 2020. I mean, fashion, you name it. Anything man related, it's in there. So, get in, go to modernlifedating.com/body language. Again, you want to go to modernlifedating.com/body language, and then you're just going to scroll down, click on this link right here. This will bring you into this little page here. You type in your best email address right there, click the subscribe button, and you will be good to go. That's going to do it for us today. So we'll catch you tomorrow on Charlie's show, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at Cultivate Crypto, and then I will be here 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to continue on the countdown to Body Language Mastery. This is not anything you're going to want to miss out on. I'm telling you, this is going to be the biggest, baddest, most motherfucking gangster event that's going to happen, man. I'm telling you, Q3, I feel like I'm pulling in all the winners right now, and our hive mind is going to grow, and we're going to be able to continuously lift each other up and grow. You're going to want to join this network. Thank you to Spencer who called in today. Appreciate your time, brother. And until then, we'll catch you guys next time. See you later.